President of Asia, ASMI, IES, SCAL, SLA, STARS, APFM, and RAS. If you don't know what this means, later you go and approach the president and ask what does this all mean. Anyway, I'm very glad to be here with all of you. You know, few years back, 3 years back, when we were looking at the Work at Height Symposium, we were thinking about having a signature event, because only when you have a signature event, only you have an event that is significant, then you are able to carry certain messages. Then you are able to do certain emphasis. So I'm glad to note that the partnership with STARS, starting from Nelson when he was proposing this, and of course John supporting this, and now I have 8 other industries be part of the Work at Height. I think that is very, very meaningful for all of us. Members of the Workplace Safety and Health Council, friends, distinguished speakers, colleagues, let me extend a very warm welcome to all of you. This year, as you all know, we started with a good note when SMS Zaki announced in January that we had achieved a workplace fatality rate of 0.99 per 100,000 workers last year. And if you look back, other than the pandemic year in 2020, this is the first time that we went below 1 per 100,000 workers. But of course, again, 1 is 1 too many. Because you must understand that the implication of the statistic. If you say 1 per 100,000, that means if you today you count 100,000 workers, for this year 1 of them going to die. That is the significance of that numbers. So whether we can accept, whether we work very hard to push that number to become 0, I think each and every one of us is responsible. Sustaining the fatality rate below 1 over a few years has been very significant. In fact, there's only 4 countries in the world that achieve these statistics. While I'm sure at the back of our mind, each and every one of us know that a lot of things for us to do. There are many things that we need to do, we must do, we have to do. But we also need to recognize and appreciate the achievement that we have. And I'm sure these numbers can only be achieved due to the collective efforts from everyone here. Due to the great effort from all the tripartite partners to all the various stakeholders who actually work very, very hard to make sure our people are safe. So I want to thank each and every one of you for doing your part to ensure our people are safe. But then again, we cannot be complacent. We need to continue to stay vigilant. We need to keep up the efforts so that we can sustain the improvement over a longer time. Even though when we put a target that by 2028 for us to achieve below 1, now we have actually managed to get 0.199. It is something that to prove to each and every one of us that it's possible to do, that we must do and we need to do. Having said that, we were looking into the task force, the Organised task force was looking into what else needs to be done. If you look at the number of fatality of the work at height, it kind of hover of 8 deaths per year. If you look at 2021 and 2022 numbers, the numbers have been there. And in fact, last year, also the same thing. So we are looking at how best for us to bring the numbers down. Is there something that we miss out? Is there more for all of us to do? One of the things that we were pushing very, very hard is the non-fatal fall from height injuries. That means your major or your minor. Because the outcome, or whether it's a fatality, whether it's a major incident or it's a minor, it all depends on circumstances. But the accident happened. If today we look at some of the fatality, fall from ladder can result to people die. Fall from ladder. And we also see, people fall from the tailgate of a lorry, also cause fatality. So we are not talking about fatality must be only look at work at height must be really, really high. And it must be every circumstances. So if you look at the number of non-fatal fall from height injuries, the number has been staggering, about 670 plus, not about 600 plus. And you look at that 2022, and you look at last year's number, so about that. So this is a very critical numbers that we need to address. It's not because of to bring the numbers non-fatal case down, but to address the culture part of it. Because if we just look into the number of fatality, it's not enough. That means we have not solved the fundamental, we have not solved the culture aspect, we have not solved the behavior aspect of it. And that is why the committee has started to look in depth. This 675, 600 plus, where do our people fall? And I tell you one statistics that is very, very significant for us today, that about 2/3 of it is fall from ladder. Fall from ladder. And all because maybe do not use the correct method, or is it because faulty ladder? Is it because some of the procedure that they use, the ladder not supposed to do for work, and they did it. And if you look at the accident that happened, we look at the statistic, and everybody have a reason. So ladder is one of the key areas that we need to address. And I'm happy to know that the committee has started to look into the ladder. We actually come up with a advisory. We are looking into the code of practice, what we need to do for ladder. But of course, these are all procedures. But how do we operationalize the use of the ladder? How do people who use the ladder immediately will say, look, I need to be very careful. How do we do that? So I think there's a lot of effort. We came up with a core practice, we came up with advisory, we came up with videos to look. So there will be a lot of effort to focus on ladder. And please, it's not about the ladder. It is about setting the right culture, setting the right behavior through the ladder. That's what we are doing. So I'm glad to see that a lot of things have done, and I also want to thank the Roofing Association for helping us to institute certain things. When we wanted to look at it, there's the number of fatality from the roofing, people fall on the roof, actually was very significant. And then a group of people who decided to come forward, I think it is very commendable. They decided to set up a roofing association. Where's our... Yes. Then maybe you want to stand up to be recognized. Yes. Please. You know, sometimes we didn't know. Many of us, for example, I deviate a bit from my speech. For example, like the solar. Many of us look at the roof, say, wow, very nice solar. You know? But actually there are many work behind the solar. Just now we were talking, Chris was telling me about one incident. You know what, installing the solar, because of the solar, the guy got electrocuted. Because why? Solar. You know, even though they have not connected. So they tell you very clearly, there might be some process, there may be some procedures to involve solar. And to install, you know, that type of hardened cable to bring panel by panel. I think a new way, not say a new way, a proper way need to be sized up, a risk management need to be done, and then to see how to do a roofing. So I'm glad that the Roofing Association has come forward. All these are light-hearted team who actually push for us on this. Lastly, we also developed a lot of from the council side. No, we came up with GIF, we came up with video on the work at height. So please, what we need to do is get our workforce, give them a chance to look at this video. I want to also acknowledge one trending that I saw is the industry ownership for the work at height. Today, we saw 8 industry associations will be taking pledge. I think these are very significant. And each industry, the work at height challenge is different. And I'm sure with the industry taking lead, then there will be a lot of practical, a lot of measure can be instituted to help us to prevent work at height. So I'm glad to see that the 8 industry will actually come forward from Asia, USMI, marine industry, IES, engineer, scale, contractor, SLA, logistic, STARS, trade association, and I understand STARS, you have another 14 sub-industry. So I was telling John, he's like mafia like that. You have own specialist trade alliance, and then you have another 14 sub-industry with him. So I thank John for pulling. I don't envy your job, but I thank your job. Thank for doing this. And then of course you have APFM, Facilities Management, and RAS, Roofing Association. So I want to thank the eight industry for taking ownership. Safety can only be better if each and every one of us take personal and collective responsibility of it. If only one person, no. In fact, at our strategy level, we also continue with MASD, Multi-Agency Safety Task Force, whereby the various ministries are also part of this task force. And it only depends on MOM, Ministry of Manpower. It's not that Salus no good. Salus is very good, but it helps to have, this is a journey. So to have people in your journey together with you walking that distance helps. Okay, so I'm very happy that all of you are now together with me, with us on this journey. So in conclusion, I would like to encourage everyone, please continue to give us your support, and I thank you all for the support. To achieve 0.99 is not a destination. It tells us that it can be done, and I'm sure more can be done. And I'm sure looking at each and every one of you, none of us in this room, none of us want anybody to get injured. None of us want people to die. I'm sure, unless you are the one different, please let me know. And even when I went to Australia, I was talking to them about the one per 100,000. So I say, if each and every one of us don't take effort, we will say safety are so busy. Why don't beginning of the year we say who among us going to die out of this accident, so that we can get over it? Seriously, if that is the accident we're talking about, that is the statistic, that is the significance of human life we're talking about. So I just want to say thank you to all of you. I'm sure together we can reduce fall from height injuries in all workplaces for safety. And I wish you all a fruitful symposium ahead. And I thank the organizing committee and everyone to take time to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Please bring on stage for our next segment. Our fellow representative, to pledge your commitment to working at high safety on my count, press the button in front of you. Ready in 3, 2, 1.
Safety and Health Council, Mr. Zheng, Commissioners of Workplace Safety and Health, members of the WIS Councils and National Work High Safety Task Force, distinguished guests and speakers, ladies and gentlemen. A very good morning to everyone. It gave me immense pleasure to share our company's Work High good practices in this symposium, and I'm most grateful to the Council for giving me this opportunity. Thank you so much. The contents of my sharings are a brief introduction of my companies and current projects, and some of our Work High activities, top management commitment, and approach to effective for preventive and for protections, and sharing of our Work High safety videos. My name is Francis Ang, a project director at Zheng Engineering Construction Private Limited, a local SME building constructions companies. And we built the LTA first multi-story bus depots with staff quarters at Sengkang West. And these projects, we partner with Sentari Construction Private Limited as a joint ventures. And we have our other two MOH projects, the Serangoon's Polyclinics and Punggol Field Nursing Home. So these are some of our Work High activities: the use of AWP, RC structural work, external wall panels installation at the edge of the buildings, working on scaffolds, and the use of platform ladders. Now, whether you work at height every day or just occasionally, work safely should always remain the top priorities. And it takes one mistake to turn our daily routine into serious injury and fatalities. Therefore, we need to protect our workers each and every time they may be exposed to a fall hazard. Let me begin. Let me begin by contextualizing the importance of top management commitments. They have the influence and controls over their resources and priorities. ultimately this will shape their risk performance on the grounds. They need to lead by examples, walk the talks, and place safety as one of the most important. And it helps to drive the rest of the organizations to behave similarly. And over time, these risk cultures will evolve and make everyone take ownership and responsibility for risk matter. Our approach to effective fall preventions and fall protections, the hierarchies of control. Various worldwide safety organizations have promoted as the best way to manage and control occupational hazard. It is a structured method for keeping our workers safe. It helps to identify and ranking safeguards to protect our workers. And they are arranged from the most to the least effective, namely the eliminations, substitutions, engineering controls, administrative controls, and PPE. This method is designed to help us to understand what control measures should be put in place to either eliminate or reduce the fall hazard. Elimination control. So one example is the formal scaffold erections. In one of my workplace, the level 1, the ceiling height is 9 meters, and subsequent levels is 7 meters high at each level. So we have a high ceiling in these projects. So instead of us to erect the formal scaffolds framing in the vertical directions, where the workers need to stand at each frame at height to continue to erect the next frame to the required height. So what we do here is we consult our PE, our structural engineers, and our safety personnel. We assemble this formal scaffold framing safely on the flat grounds in the horizontal directions. So once we have done that, we will hook up the LGs at the bottoms of the framing at the 4 corners, and then we lift up in the vertical positions. And thereafter, we will move the whole set of framings to the next location where it required. And over there, our lifting team will safely and simply unhook the LG at the bottoms of the scaffold framing instead of at the top. So this simple change of work method have helped us to eliminate the risk of workers working at heights completely for these particular activities. Substitutions control. We use AWP to substitute the use of scaffolding to as much as possible. It helps us to reduce the risk of erection and dismantling of scaffolds and reduce the numbers of workers that needs to work at height. AWP helps to lift up my workers and allow them to perform their tasks safely within the working platforms. And AWP is specifically designed to have safety in mind and actively prevent a fall when the operator is using the fall arrest system. So fall protection is essential when you need to work at height. We adopt the use of Haulotte slabs to substitute conventional slab constructions. It helps us to reduce the areas of formal installation and reduce the numbers of workers that needs to work at height. Engineering controls. Edge protection helps to prevent my workers, their tools, materials, and even equipment from falling off the edge of the building, causes serious injury, fatalities, and even damage to property below. So all our open site floor openings are well barricaded with nettings, toe boards, warning signs, and they are designed by our PE with certificate of supervision. Administrative controls. We practice 30-30 observation techniques. We train our workers to observe our workplace for 30 seconds, look out for hazards and activities. We train them to look far 30 meters ahead for any open site and look up 30 meters above for any falling hazard. This technique helps to increase our workers' awareness of the surrounding activities and hazard. Safety time out is a planned event where we take time off from the routine activities, we take stocks and reviews our current risk systems and practices. So apart from conducting SPOs when the incidents happen, we conduct our own weekly SPO for selective work activities. Meaning, this week we conduct SPOs for safe use of AWP with all operators. And next week, we may conduct the safe use of platform ladders for those that need to work with ladders. And next week, we conduct SPOs for proper use of fall protection equipments for those that need to work at height. So meaning every week we will conduct SPO for a selective work activities. And separately, we conduct SPOs for trade-specific milestone for every 30%, 60%, and 90% work done. Meaning, if my RC work progress have reached 30% work done, we stop work, we conduct SPO. And when the progress reaches 60%, again we stop work, we conduct SPO. So same goes to 90% work done. So why do we need to conduct multiple SPO in our workplace? The reason is because we want to reinforce our own site staff, contractors and workers, the positive actions and behaviors. We need to remind them of the potential hazard and risk, and we need them to mitigate with control measures. And throughout all these SPO, we implement necessary measures to keep our good practices in place and to uphold our risk cultures and standards. It is indeed a long journey, but it is a rewarding one. Difficult routes often leads to beautiful destinations, and the best is yet to come. We conduct regular trainings and education to our workers. Training is indeed vital. It helps to ensure we provide a safe and healthy work environment. Training helps to increase the awareness of our workers, enable them to identify potential hazards and risks and mitigate with measures. Training makes them understand the importance of safety and the expectation that we have on them. We conduct regular in-house training as well as engage external trainers to meet our training needs and programs. Inspections and audits. We conduct regular inspections. Inspection helps us to uncover hazard and risks. Inspection helps us to either eliminate or reduce workplace accidents. We engage external auditor to audit our workplace every Monday. We need the auditors to take a comprehensive look at our systems and practices. We want to make sure that the system that we put in place is actually performing and the system is protecting our workforce. Control measures are meant to mitigate potential hazard and risk, as well as to mitigate potential livelihood and severity risk as well. So therefore, timely reviews of our RA is necessary and essential. We review our RA with our contractors every 6 months. We want to make sure that all the activities are included in the RA and control measures are effectively put in place. And we practice activity-based safety improvement system. In short, we call APACs. We can use any mobile devices. We capture videos of selective work activities, and then we review the video together with the contractor and the workers. We want to make sure that the workers follow the safe work procedures. We want to identify lapses or gaps that we may miss out in the earlier review. We want to know whether is there any better and safer ways to carry out these activities. APACs will help us through step-by-step identification of hazards and the appropriate safety control measures. It is important that all edge protection like anchorage point, lifeline, guardrails, mesh barricades, etc., they have to be designed by PE with certificate of supervision before use. And we help to reduce the risk of workers working at height through heat stress management. We conduct hourly measurements and communication of WBGD readings. We allow 10 minutes of water breaks for every hours of workings. And we conduct daily toolbox meetings with water parade twice a day. And we even set up an effective communication channel using WhatsApp, where we send out hourly WBGD readings in 3 different languages, plus 1 control measures to all our contractors on board, regardless whether they are working indoors or outdoors. We want everyone to acknowledge receiving these WBGD readings and to follow our necessary control measures. We help to reduce the risk of working at height through caring of our workers. We conduct health declarations twice a day. We want to know that workers are still healthy and they're still fit to work. We organize annual health screenings by external healthcare vendors. And we conduct our own quarterly basic health check by taking blood pressures, BMI measurements, and conduct Snellen eye tests to test the worker vision sharpness. We believe that healthy workers will lead to a safer workplace. Reporting save life. We welcome direct reportings to our top managements. We provide several feedback channels. Workers can use the mobile devices to scan the QR code. They can SMS, WhatsApp, or even call us direct. We have provided an open, secure, and comfortable environment, assuring them that there will be no blame cultures, making them feel supported and at ease. And we have built cultures of open reportings, not only on incident, but near misses as well. And that culture empowers our workers to report any safety lapses, unsafe conditions, and suggest for improvement. PPE is the 5th and the least effective stage of hierarchy control. But if you're using PPE as a safety control, typically it will be very expensive to maintain and it's least effective when workers are not using them properly and poorly maintain them. So we have set up a monthly maintenance regimes for all the PPE, checking on all the fall protection equipments. We do check on PPE during our daily risk inspections. We enforce the use of self-retractable lifeline where the guardrails is not feasible. And all anchorage points for the harness to anchors are designed by PE with COS before use. Ladder safety. When it comes to workplace safety and home safety, ladders has been cited as one of the leading causes for injury. And one of the main reasons is that wrong ladders was chosen for the jobs. A step ladders may be your perfect choice for one type of work, but platform ladders may work much more better than the other. So falling off ladders can kill. Use them safely. We enforce the use of platform ladders in our workplace. No step ladders is allowed. The primary benefit of using the platform ladders is that they are more reliable, durable, and above all else, they are stable. They are more comfortable than any other standard ladders. It features a wide platform ledge to stand. Standard ladders do not feature such a wide space and may result in some accidents. A significant advantage of using a platform ladders is that the platform is designed to have a long standing at one specific height and is significantly simpler on the feet. Whereas the step ladders, you need to step over the arches from the feet and may cause discomforts with extended use. There are some key considerations when using a ladders: the location of the work, the height and depth where the worker needs to reach, and is there any other form of access besides using ladders? Can I use AWP or tower scaffolds? And the type of activities that you want to carry out. So all these are considerations you need to think through when using a ladders. So once you have chosen the ladders, to use the ladders, you need to conduct a risk assessment, identify hazard and introduce control measures. And you need to conduct daily tour meeting with your workers, share with them the hazard and what control measures they need to follow up. and the workers have to be trained to use the safe use of ladders. Inspection of ladders is necessary. You need to check for damage and defects before use. You check for cracks, you check for bends, you check for missing rungs, loose fittings, or any signs of wear and tear. If you found any one of these, do not use dead ladders. You need to check for ladder stabilities, ensure the ladders are placed on the firm and stable grounds. You need to test it by giving a firm shaking before you climbing up. So one of the golden rules of using the ladder is to maintain the 3 points of contact when ascending and descending the ladders, either 2 hands with 1 foot or 2 feet with 1 hand on the ladders at all times. It helps to provide stabilities and reduce the risk of falling. Avoid overreaching when using the ladders. It will make you lose balance and it may make you fall. So avoid using ladders in the outdoors areas during adverse weather conditions like having strong winds, rainings or lightnings. Such conditions can cause your ladders to be slippery and increase the risk of accidents. Working with buddy is advantage. Your buddy can hold on your ladders while you're working on it. It provides more ladder stabilities. Buddy can be helpful to access tools and materials for you. And buddy is available to call for help if there's a need arise. So when it comes to maintenance of ladders, you need to clean up the step and the run after use. You need to duplicate all the movable joints of the ladders. You need to ensure that the safety fit is in good working conditions. Check all joints and test out the ladder's hardware and fittings. And for storage, store the ladder securely. Do not cause any obstructions to others and access. Do not put any materials on top of your ladders and just simply keep them in the well-ventilated areas. Adoption of which technology helps us to improve workplace safety as well as to reduce workplace accidents from happenings. So apart from WSQ course and supplier formalization trainings where most operators will need to attend before they are being appointed to operate the MEWP in the workplace, for all my operators, they need to attend additional IPAF trainings. These trainings will help us to enable to identify the individual's operators' weaknesses, such as their failures to look out for the surrounding hazard and the capabilities of operating the MEWP. So we felt that it's important that to prevent accidents from happenings when operating this MEWP. So this training is certainly beneficial to my operators and our training needs and program. The methodologies of this training involve the use of simulators with real-life motion images, which make the training very realistic but under a safe and controlled environment. All our scissor lifts are equipped with an AI solution which we call EQSS Overwatch. These solutions will detect my operators' position at movement in respect of the moving machinery. And the sensors will focus on the operators during operations and to prevent overhead obstacles at height. And separately, our boom lifts are retrofits with a safety surveillance service, and the solutions are equipped with sirens, sensors, and video analytics. And it helps to capture and detect our operators' unsafe behavior. In my workplace, we have installed a number of automated lightning alert warning systems. This system will send a lightning alert to us through SMS, on-site sirens and strobe light. It is connected directly to NEA lightning alert warning system, and it has a 5 kilometers radius of coverage. Singapore being one of the highest lightning activities in the world, and we have an average of 137 thunderstorms per year. So therefore, this system is indeed beneficial to my workers when they need to work in outdoor areas as well as at the rooftop. And all our tower cranes perimeters of our work boundaries, even our internal corridors. Every corridors we install with CCTV cameras. So these cameras are viewable and controllable through every mobile devices, anytime, anywhere, as long as there's internet connections. And we have a 22 times optical zoom with smart infrared view. We integrate a solution, the video analytics, to all cameras, and the solution is able to send us a real-time alert for any unsafe act and unsafe condition captured by the camera promptly that allow us to react quickly to address the situation and help us to either eliminate or reduce workplace accidents. And these video analytics have the capabilities of having PPE detections, absence of barricades, close proximities to moving vehicles and machinery, and intrusion into vehicle access. And to further elaborate our Work at Height initiative, let us watch a video that we have prepared for everyone.
Working at height is a high-risk activity, with falling from height being top cause of death in construction industry. We can achieve our zero falls goal and continue to work safely at height with proper training, continuous risk assessment, and by following safe work procedures. Your safety is in your hands. Before any work begins, permit to work for working at height must be applied, where safety conditions are checked, verified and authorized by the work at height assessor and manager. Inspect your safety harness daily and look out for loose stitching, frayed edges or cuts in the harness. Do not use a damaged harness. There must be a double lanyard or 100% tie-off at all times. Scaffolds must be inspected every 7 days, with scaffold safe for use tag displayed at the access. It must have effective guardrails installed, as well as toe boards placed to prevent falling objects. Installed safeguard for fall prevention is always preferred over fall protection. Maintain good housekeeping in your work areas at all times to prevent slip, trip, and fall hazards, especially near open sites. All work at height activities shall be supervised by an appointed work at height supervisor at all times. Use the 30-30-30 observation technique before starting any work at height activities. This technique means observing your workplace for at least 30 seconds and noting any potential hazards. Observe the 30-meter space around you and 30 meters above you. A key part of working safely at height is implementing an effective fall prevention plan. The Code of Practice for Working Safely at Height has all the information you need to stay safe. Make sure you read and understand it. Safety at work is always our #1 priority. Don't take any risks or shortcuts during your work. If you follow the safety rules in this video, you'll stay safe while working at heights. We want to see everyone return home safely at the end of the workday. Let's drive towards zero falls in our work site.
Safety is a choice that we make every day. It is not a program but a culture that we need to build strong and sustainable. Safety is our way of life. It is our everything, and certainly it is not a one-time event. Risks come from not knowing what you are doing. Thank you very much.
Good morning. So first of all, thank you for the invitation. I'm very honored to be there with you today. So I'm Julien, I work for a French AWP manufacturer, and I'm in charge of all the APAC markets covering all the products aspect. So let's start with the presentation. So today I'm going to talk about technologies and innovation, current and future, developed to increase MEWP safety. But before we do that, let's start with the basis and what's MEWP. So MEWP are devices designed to lift people and only people. They enable users to access temporary workplaces at height with their tools and equipment. So they improve the working condition and the safety of the workers. So being a manufacturer, we comply with international standards such as EN 280. Change. Sorry. So we need to comply, we comply with international standards such as EN 280 for Europe, ANSI for North America, AS/NZS for Australia and New Zealand, and there are many other standards around the world. So why those standards? They set the rules in terms of design and calculation about how to make MEWP safe. So basically the strict compliance of those standards, and that's what we do, bring a very good level of safety about the MEWP itself. So having said that, MEWP, why do we use MEWP before? So a few facts and figures. Fall from height. So if we have a look at what's happening around the world, so the health and safety executive in the United Kingdom, they tell us that 47% of all workplace accidents are caused by falls from height. Occupational Safety and Health Administration in the United States, they tell us that ladder falls are the leading causes of workplace fatalities. And IPAC, International Powered Access Federation, tell us that ladder and scaffolding falls cause 4 times more fatal accidents than aerial work platform. So here we're talking about fatalities, but any minor fall can have consequences on your body. Shoulder, wrist, back, knee, ankle, you can be injured with any minor fall. Fracture, open wound, and so on. Some other figures. So of course, any fatality is a drama for family, friends. So this is something we absolutely want to avoid. It's all the time very drama, but as well it has a cost. So any fall, we're not talking about fatality in the US, cost for, first of all, there are 15,000 falls per year in the US, and they have a cost of $20,000 each fall, and we're not talking about fatalities, and this is average. And if there is, unfortunately, a fatality, this is above $1 million. In the United Kingdom, we learned that 2/3 of all major work at height injuries are caused by low falls, 2 meters or less. So what does it mean? A fall is a fall. Whatever the height, it can cause injuries and fatalities. So every fall has to, and every working height has to be taken into consideration. So in France, the average cost of a fall is 8,600 euros. And in Australia, we learned that falls from height accounted for 16% of all workers' fatalities. So it's definitely a cause we have to address everywhere in the world. So about the MEWPs, there are many different types of MEWPs to cover most of the job site applications. Of course, it's not possible to get rid of ladder and scaffolding. In some cases, you cannot use a MEWP, but there is probably a MEWP for your special application. That's why we have many different types of MEWP. Very small one, 2 meters, very big one, up to 50 meters. We have different architecture. We have the mast, the scissors, the booms, telescopic booms, articulated booms, the big scissors. Some can go indoor, some can go outdoor, some can do both. Some can go on rough terrain, some can go on slab floors, some can take more than 4 workers in the platform, etc. So for any application, there's definitely an MEWP to cover it. But AWPs, they are safe intrinsically, but they must be used and maintained properly. So from the owner or rental company side, so the owner or rental company has to conduct all maintenances to make sure the MUP is up and running. Perform all the inspection in accordance to the manufacturer recommendation before the and local regulation before the MEWP is sent on a job site. Of course, if there's anything detected that is not right on the MEWP, the machine should not be sent for rental or should not be sent on a job site. From the employer side, so we saw there are many different types of MEWP. So before you send MEWP on a job site, you have to choose it very, very carefully. So most of the time you can just have a look on a job site to make sure the MEWP will fit and will be the good one to do the job. You need to train and check the training of the users. We've been talking about trainings, but training is definitely key, and it's definitely key as well when you have to operate a MEWP. You need to inform and familiarize the operator with the local regulations, here in Singapore, but that can be everywhere else in the world. And of course, and we talked about that with Francis, if the operator is unfit, you forbid absolutely the use of the MEWP, and probably you forbid him to do whatever on the job site. And from the operator side, so actually the operator, they are probably the main actor of their own safety, in the sense that they have many responsibilities. The first one is to comply with all the safety instructions from the job site, but as well from the MEWP. How to use the MEWP, you absolutely have to comply with that. You need to use the machine within their performances. So again, we are back with, you need to choose the right MEWP to make sure the worker won't reach the limit of performance. You need, as an operator, you need to inspect the machine before you use it. You need to make sure all the maintenance inspection have been done by the rental company or the owner of the MEWP. You need to make sure you understand how to use the emergency control, how to handle the machine in case of emergency. You know, if something happened at height, heart attack or whatever, somebody walking at height, you need to be able to handle the MUP and to do it quickly, to bring the worker back and to bring some support from it. And of course, if there's anything wrong on the machine or if there's any hazard on the job site, using the MEWP, the operator has the right and the duty to say, stop, I cannot work, it's not safe, I don't want to work. And the operator needs to check as well the workplace. If he needs to move the MUP, he needs to check where he's going to drive the MUPs, and he needs to check the job site, every hazard on the job site before he drives and elevates with the MEWP. So now let's talk about the new technologies and innovation to bring higher safety. So as a manufacturer, what can we do to assist the operator operating the MUP and be even safer? So when we think about all the technologies available in many domains, vehicle, cars, whatever, we can imagine many applications for the MEWPs. But at the end of the day, not all of them are suitable or applicable for obvious reasons. We are in a tough working environment, so you all know that. Job sites are tough for the workers, tough for the machines, tough for the equipment. It's dangerous places. The machine, they suffer from shocks, misuses from operators, dirt, paint, debris, cement, welding, sandblasting residues, mud, sun, water, snow, not quite in Singapore, but it means that the machines are designed to, in terms of temperature range, they can work from -20 to plus 50 or 55, so the range of temperature is quite wide. Humidity, so it's applicable for Singapore, aggressive atmospheres, and many other things that are very tough on the machine, and as well, of course, the operator. And within the group of construction machinery, MEWPs are very special actually, because to my knowledge, this is the only machine with the driving station being the operator's workplace as well. And the place where they're going to put as well material. It's very exposed to weather condition and job activity. So very special machinery. And there are other constraints on the integration of technologies. First of all, the safety. So the MUP must be intrinsically super safe. This is why we're using MUPs. So all design standard and international standard, EN 280, ANSI, all the others, they impose a very high level of reliability on the sensors, on the machine itself. So most of the cases, we need to use long-term proven technologies. In some cases, we need to use redundant sensors, so for safety function, we need to use two sensors with two different technology. If one fails, the other one will take over to make sure the safety function is still operating. The reliability of the machine and aging, so the machines are designed to last more than 15 years with only a few components to be replaced over the years. The serviceability, so when we design a machine, as much as possible, we make sure it's going to be very easy to be serviced by the owner or rental company. We need to make sure as well the skills required to do the maintenance of the machine are as low as possible to make sure that it's done easily and it's done properly. And as well, the MUP has to be easy to operate because the MUPs improve safety, productivity, yes, but remember that the MEWP is just a tool for the workers. They use drillers, they use whatever tools, and sometimes they are going to use a MEWP. So they are not professional MEWP driver. This is not their job. Their job is to install HVAC, to paint, to do whatever else. So we need to make sure the MEWP is very easy to operate and very easy to get. And most of the time they operate different brands. So we don't have standardized control boxes. So the control box would be, again, very easy to get to avoid any mistake on the job site operating the MUP. Having said that, of course, there's always a need for progress, to improve, to bring more safety. So there are three topics we're working on as manufacturer. First one is to improve productivity and limit the downtime. So when I say productivity, it's not the speed of MEWP, because speed is usually against safety. So it's more about the ability of the MEWP to do the job properly. And of course, limit the downtime. You have a MEWP on the job site. If it fails, then everybody is going to waste some time. The second topic is how we can support the rental companies operating a fleet of MUPs. So that's, for example, making it very reliable, easy to service. And the third topic, that is the one of interest today, is how we can provide assistance to operate MEWP safely. So actually there are already many add-on technologies available that can be installed on the machine. So one of the main one is a secondary guarding system. So Francis has just showed a slide with a machine equipped with a secondary guarding system. So secondary guarding system basically is a system that is going to, in an entrapment situation, that is going to stop the machine right before the operator is crushed. So as you can see on the picture, the operator on the right is being pushed forward by an obstacle, and the mechanism is going to stop the loop to avoid serious injuries. The second one is it's compulsory to wear harness, but if you wear harness, so personal protective equipment, and if you don't secure it to the basket, then it's just useless. So we have developed, and all the other manufacturers are coming up with that as well, is just like in your car, you have safety belt, and if you don't secure the safety belt, you are going to get reminder and reminder. And at the end of the day, now in cars, everybody is securing the safety belt. So that's why what we've developed to make sure that in case of ejection, the operator is going to remain close to the AWP, which is maybe a way to save his life. So many other things we do on the machine to help the operator drive the machine and to raise awareness as well. So we discussed about the secondary warning system, the protective equipment. So about the MEWP, it's very important that the MEWP is easy to operate. When I say easy to operate, it's smooth, proportional, easy to command movements. This is a way to bring safety when you work at height with MEWP. We have lights on the machine, so lights is good as well, for sure, for your own visibility as an operator, but it's as well very good on the job site by night to be seen by other workers or other machines. We have obstacle detection, so remote detection with sensors to avoid collision. About the human-machine interface, so this is another very important topic. Here we're talking about information to the operator, and we're talking about ergonomics. Again, it's very important for a worker, operator to understand the machine easily, avoiding the operator to make a mistake operating the machine. And about awareness, on the machine, you can scan a QR code, and you are going to get the operator manual, you are going to get a video to familiarize yourself with the use of the MEWP. You are going to get safety instructions, so right on your mobile phone. There is another way of improving the safety. It's done through the telematics. So basically, telematics, they're used to do many things. GPS location, you get the operating time, any information about the engine, the battery. But what is of interest to us today is the maintenance. So through telematics, you get all the information about what you have to do on the move to make sure it's safe. So all the maintenance operation. You get all the unsafe behaviors from the operator. So if the operator is using the MUP in a way that is a bit strange, then you are going to get some alerts, and you get as well the fault code. If there's anything faulty on the machine, you get it on your mobile phone or on your computer. So then, if the MUP hasn't stopped by itself, which is very unlikely, but if the MUP hasn't stopped by itself, you know there is a fault, and you know you have to stop the MUP and you have to fix it. So what's next now, talking about emerging and future technologies on the machine. So on the machine, we're developing many things. So we're talking about emerging and future, so some are not there yet, of course. So the first way to improve the safety is to give information, real-time information to the operator. For example, the machine is tilted, so in a position where you have to do some operation to get away from that safely. So the machine will tell you what to do to fold the machine back to its gravity center and to make sure yourself. This is one of the examples. The remote driving, going through a door. So you can drive the MUP remotely. You don't need to be in the MUP. So going through a door can be dangerous. Or loading the machine on a trailer, you can do it remotely. So don't need to drive. So it's increased safety. We have the zero gravity arm. So it's not directly related to the safety of the MEWP, but basically when you're walking up there in a basket, using your force to do something, that can be a source of hazard and danger. So this will help the workers to do their job in a way that they don't need to push too hard. And then, coming up, the smart drive assist, cameras and sensors. Again, when you're up there in the air, it's very difficult to have a look at the floor. Sometimes you have to move the MEWP. We can help with cameras so that you can properly see the floor, if there's any hazard on the floor. Different sensors, you're driving the MEWP on a bumpy road, you're going too quick, so there is a risk of ejection, then the machine will slow down just because we've detected some bumps. And ultimately, it's not quite there, but autonomous driving, so I want to go there, and the MEWP will go there perfectly safe. We're not quite there, but this is where we're heading on a certain period of time. So what's next? Off-board the machine. So we're talking about IoT and digitalization. Augmented reality. So this is already happening. So augmented reality is very useful on the production line. So when we produce a MUP, MEWP, of course, in terms of safety, this is very high because we need to make sure the MUP has no default, has been properly manufactured before we send it on the job site. So augmented reality helps the operators on the production line to make sure what they're doing is safe. That could be as well used for quality control. Virtual reality, so it's been discussed already. Virtual reality is great to train the operators, but as well for manufacturer, we use it to develop new control box, so that or new function on MEWP, so that we can try the new function and the new control boxes in real. The alerts through telematics by working environment hazard, so that could be lightning, that could be any power line that are around the area. Giving access through telematics again to the operator on their mobile, giving them all the information going through the telematics. So directly an alert like you're doing something wrong on machine. And in the future, the use of the artificial intelligence for the predictive maintenance. So depending on the way the MUP is used, the temperature, the weights engaged, etc., we will adapt the maintenance that has to be done on the MEWP, and as well for all the safety management of the job site, all the machines, all together on some job site that can get very, very crowded. So this is as well a way to increase safety. Again, we are not quite there, but this is where the industry is heading in the future. And to finish with, there is an ultimate solution to ensure 100% safety at heights to human workers, is to keep them on the floor. And it's actually happening, and it's happening already, so it's just starting, of course. We have robots at heights, so you can see some of our machines equipped with robots doing shipyard sandblasting and painting, or doing painting. Drones as well. So with the drones, it's very good for inspection. Now they're equipped with high definition cameras, so you can get good inspection. If you don't need to send somebody to dismount anything, that could be a good way forward, but it's only visual inspection. And for robots at height, right now they're very good for repetitive tasks, added value tasks, But on I would say, normal construction job site, you have HVAC installers. Their job is to install aircon or whatever, ventilation, so this is their only job. But the way they are going to do it on every job site is different. So you need to adapt yourself to all the job site, and again, right now the robots are not quite there. But it's just the beginning of a very long journey, and fascinating, but as well the reality of our industry makes things going a bit slowly, but surely, which is good for safety. So thank you very much for listening. Thanks.
Good morning, Mr. Bakar, Chairman WSH, distinguished guests, speakers, organizers, students and alumni of SUSS, and safety leaders. Good morning, all of you. I'm very honored to be invited to be speaking to you on this topic, psychological and behavioral aspects of work at height. To the organizing committee, I would like to say a big thank you for bringing all of us here today and ensuring that everything, including safety, is taken care of. This is very important for the psychological well-being of all of us here. Is there anyone here, who has concern that the roof may fall or if the food might be contaminated? Yeah, these are all aspects of safety, right? Now, if you are feeling safe right now, can I invite you to raise up your right hand? Great. Yeah. Now, when I was invited, I hesitated. First, I'm not trained in psychology. And second, I'm not a work at height expert. I pondered, and I concluded that my experience as a human factors researcher, which led me to sit in the Safety Review Board, and subsequently heading the Human Factors program at SUSS, might just make a difference in bringing in new ideas and thoughts. And so here I am today, feeling a little bit jittery, unsafe, but I know I've got the support of the organizing committee and all of you here. Thank you so much. Yeah. So I'm not a psychologist, so who am I? Right? I hold a mechanical engineering degree, and I examine how people trust and use technology while doing my PhD. Prior to joining SUSS, I headed the Human Factors Engineering and Design program in the defense sector. And so the image that first popped up to my mind when I hear the term work at height is this. Right? This is a view taken from the floor of an airplane, and it's a view that's in defense. We're pretty skilled in dropping parachutists from the sky. Yeah, as can be seen at every National Day, right? Of course, I'm not going to be talking about operating from the skies today. I just wanted to expand the context to beyond ladders and scaffoldings for everyone to consider looking at other contexts for innovative solutions. Right. Earlier, Francis shared with us the hierarchy of control, right? Yeah. It prioritizes how we design for safety. Now, the question that I want to invite all of you to think here is, when we talk about psychological and behavioral aspects of safety, which level of control are we talking about? Are we talking about the psychology of the design engineers who are tasked to eliminate, substitute, and isolate the risk? Or are we talking about the process engineers who put in the residual engineering and admin controls? Or are we talking about the ground staff who needs to put on PPE because we couldn't achieve safety by design? Right. When I first received this topic, I was quite limited to thinking that we are talking about engineering and administrative control. Right. This is an image of the aftermath of the BP Texas City disaster in 2005. It was one of the deadliest industrial accidents in the United States. At that time, I was doing my master's and was working on a project with the Abnormal Situation Management Consortium. So in this consortium, oil and gas companies come together to work on topics to manage petrochemical plants. In one of our meetings, Professor Nancy Leveson, shared her findings, which was later published at the CSB website as this, right? That the root cause was actually an oversight of the company's safety culture. Now, so who drives the hierarchy of control? Right. Earlier, we hear Francis and Julien share novel technologies for working at height. Now, if senior leaders are not supportive, would we see these innovative solutions being implemented? If safety leaders are not supportive, would there be a safety department to put in dedicated effort and resources to look into workplace safety? So when we examine deeper, there is psychological and behavioural aspects at all levels. Today, the BP Texas explosion remains a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of inadequate safety practices and organizational failures. History has shown us that psychological and behavioral aspects transcends across the entire organization, from CEO to every ground staff. So, what drives the psychology and behavior of individuals? We say that behavior is driven by how the world occurs to us and what is available to us. How the world occurs for us is what we recognize as being familiar. These are the knowledge between our ears, typically formed by what we expect to see and the goals we hold on to. Now, the term cognition here may be unfamiliar to you. You can relate it to the word recognition here. So you recognize something when you've seen it more than once. And when we remove the R and E, it simply means that you are seeing it for the first time. It is what you see, hear, smell, feel, and taste. It is knowledge in the world that you sense. Let me elaborate further. So the worker we see here, they need to complete a task, which is to connect the pipes. And the tools available to them, which is their strong muscles and their body length, when combined, they look at what they have, they assess that they can complete the task this way. Right? This is what we call that the workers are satisficing. Okay? What is real is that all of us adapt well to context. When I don't see ladders, I don't see scaffold, I need to connect the pipe, this is what I do. Right? Now, if we see that there are scaffoldings and ladders around, how might their decisions change? This is what we mean by cognition, right? You look around what's available, there's a ladder that's safe, you can use it, right? So earlier I highlighted the psychological and behavioral aspects of management in the BP Texas explosion. Here I invite you to review the role of the management, right? What is the role of management here? Who plans the scaffolding, ladders, and safety harness? Would that be a single person or a collective effort? I'm pretty sure that at some point in your life, you have made a decision on safety. Years ago, I was seconded to the Army Soldier System Integration Lab. I remember vividly, on the first day of me reporting at the lab, one of the intakes, some of you may know them as warrant officers, came to me and said, "Do you know that every timeline that we miss, another batch of soldiers suffer?" This statement deeply moves, touched, and inspired me to perform and deliver. I knew that the work that I do impacts the safety of every soldier on the ground. Now, can I have a show of hands if you have ever made a decision on safety before? Okay, we see a few there. More safety leaders raising your hands. Yes, some more? Yeah, every day. But actually, everyone here is a safety leader because you take leadership of your own safety at work. So everyone is a safety leader. And we need to know that you are responsible for your own safety, you are your own leader. Right? So I want everybody to also take a step back and think about what is the role that you have in the organization that you can do to drive safety and make a difference to your workplace. If you know that the decision you make affects the safety of another, how would you decide differently? Now, context and cognition is not limited to physical equipment and tools. There is also the social aspects that leaders need to be mindful of. Now, if a new staff joins this group, and this new staff, he is familiar with his work, and at his previous workplace, everybody puts on a safety helmet. So he reports to work on the first day with his safety helmet, and everyone else don't put on a safety helmet. What do you think he's going to do on the third day of working? he's also not going to put on his safety helmet. So this is what we call group norm, and we have to be very mindful and aware of group norms that is a misperception of peer norms, and they do drive behaviors and changes and culture. Yeah. To wrap up my point on bottom-up processing, here's a quote from Herbert Simon, who won the Nobel Prize in 1978 for his work on satisficing. So, decision makers can satisfy either by finding optimum solutions for a simplified world or by finding satisfactory solutions for a more realistic world. The quote brings to our attention that there is a simplified world in which we do our engineering calculations and planning, right? But there is also a real world with real people with varying capabilities and limitations who would be performing the work. As much as we can calculate and plan, there is a need to be on the ground to observe how people are performing their tasks. And that brings us to know what to do in a realistic world. Okay, I'm going to move on to talk about how decisions are shaped by what's in our mind. Okay, let's take a look at the experience of these two young ladies taking a roller coaster ride. It is the same ride. One of them experienced fear, while the other is smiling and enjoying the thrill. Now, reflect on the first time you took a roller coaster ride. How do you feel? I remember that I felt my heart went up to my mouth in my very first roller coaster ride. So was that fun or dangerous for me? Will I take it again? My current answer is yes, I will. So what might be the experience and belief that I hold that lead to a yes? First, I survived a few roller coaster rides and I came out fine, really fine. No puking, no nauseous. I know it's not the same for everyone. Second, many theme parks are sprouting, suggesting that it's a mature technology. Third, we don't hear many cases of accidents and deaths while taking roller coaster ride. It is about 1 injury per million attendants. And most importantly, is what I observe when I'm at the theme parks. I've seen theme parks closes their ride for maintenance and servicing. And I know that theme park operators take safety seriously, as it is closely coupled with public confidence and commercial viability. I'm not here to convince you to take a roller coaster ride. I want to highlight to you that employees, being human, has many considerations. Some of these considerations may not make sense to you or another person. But is it important that we pay attention to their considerations? The short answer is yes. Every voice has to be heard. Don't treat them as mechanical beings, like this picture above. They are not mechanical beings. They have their own feelings and thoughts and considerations. Right? So be interested in how safety occurs to them. Were there any events that make them more fearful, or were there situations, like might they have a fear of height? Now, how do you then get there? Okay, you can talk to them and get into their world. And earlier, Francis shared a lot about training to the staff. That's really important, that being in that constant communication, being able to observe and respond to their needs. If you are looking for something more quantifiable, there are many psychological measurement tools out there, and as we speak, more are being developed and validated. This one uses a virtual reality test for one's fear for height and can be considered for screening employees if they are ready to work at height. Then there are also measurement tools at the organization level. This culture safe survey tool is one such tool. It provides insights into leadership, governance, management system, learning, ownership, and communication. And you can download a free copy at the Wish website. The survey has been translated into several languages, including Thai, Burmese, and Bengali. So what's useful about generating a culture safe index? After all, it takes time to implement and effort to collect and analyze. The truth is that our employees grow, mature, and retire in the organization. They get married, become parents, become fitter, some plan to go on a diet, some decide to do a part-time degree at SUSS, and all these life experiences shape how they think and feel about safety at every point in time. And so safety to the individual, to the organization is transient. So other than life experiences, which you and I cannot control, there are interventions which are earlier shared by Julien and Francis that we can put in to shape their behavior and attitudes. So it is important that we get to the root cause before deciding on the intervention. So there is a Chinese saying that says 对症下药, right? Find a medicine that treats not the symptom but the source. Right? And the cultural safe index is one possible way for you to measure the efficacy and diagnose what might have worked and what did not. So the key point I'm making here is that there will be interventions that you take and you will want to know how well it's working. So tracking the cultural safe index or any kind of index will be something that is useful for you. In this last segment, I want to share 2 interventions I've come across. Yeah, this is an intervention that I found online while searching for material for today's presentation. I'm in no way related to your simulator. In human factors, we are often at the forefront examining new technologies for training. So I googled and found this one which might be useful, but I'll just show like a short segment of it in the interest of time.
Introducing our work at Height Simulator to learn interactively and safely. The simulation kit includes a MetaQuest 2 headset and hand tracking. Your hands replace the physical controls. Live 4 experiences of work at height in a safe and interactive way. PPE verification. Choose the PPE verifying their state and if they are suitable for work at height. Scaffolding experience. Learn performing a questionnaire about pre-operational safety checks. Experiment the dangers associated to a bad supervision and confront a risk situation.
Okay, I will pause here. If you are interested, you can Google and find this in YouTube. It's interesting. It's an alternate way of classroom teaching where it's limited to what you have. But right now with VR as a technology, as Julien mentioned, there's a lot of possibilities out there. Yeah. So my second intervention that I want to discuss here is this thing about feeling good, right? So safety as a mantra doesn't have to be authoritative or serious. It is possible to add fun and make it appealing for everyone to own safety. Okay, when I first saw this hanging from the back of a passerby at the Singapore Air Show, I thought this is really cool and I really wanted to have one. It was years later that I discovered that this keychain originates from safety. It is made bright and red and very visible to bring down human error. So imagine if our workers wear a safety harness that makes them look really smart and he feels comfortable and good wearing it, would that motivate him to want to put on the safety harness? Right? So this is what we mean by psychological and safety aspect that's often overlooked. When we were designing the body armor for the Singapore Army, we really went beyond functionality and comfort to also ensure that our soldiers look smart when they wear the body armor and appear in Facebook. Right. I've come to the end of my presentation. Here's a summary of the key points I covered. I started the presentation emphasizing that everyone plays a role in owning safety. Using the BP Texas accident as lead-in, leaders need to be aware of the roles that we play and the environment that's being provided. I go on to share how people make decisions, how people's decision changes over time, and how measuring the change gives us insights into knowing what's happening and the effectiveness of the interventions we put in. I also offer 2 interventions for nudging safe behaviors. Now I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone here for your attention and participation. I also want to acknowledge the role you played in ensuring workplace safety. If anyone is keen on learning more about human factors courses at SUSS, this is my email address. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Keng.
and thank you, organizers, for this kind invitation. Like Dr. Angeline, when I got this invite, I also asked myself, what am I doing, right, in front of all of you? And I'm the last person you want to see, right? Let's be realistic about it. Right? Yeah. So I asked myself, what can I value add to all of you? Right? What's a surgeon and a doctor here to talk to you about? And I've given several talks about safety I've given in my roles, right? And today I'll try to focus and try to make things more relevant for all of you and actually value add to your reactions and your interventions, right? Should unfortunate incident happen. I'm very reassured and actually very encouraged by what the speakers have done to try to improve safety. And all of you here, actually, the fact that you are sitting here means that either you are here, you really believe in safety, or if you have no choice, it's your job, you better do it well. Right? So this is the reality of life. Okay? And it is not about whether Julien can give you the best equipment, right? It's not about Francis getting all the things involved, processes involved. It's about borrowing a line from Top Gun Maverick, right? It's about the pilot in the cockpit, which is you guys and actually your workers, whether they respect safety and they respect where they work from. Okay, so borrowing a line from what we've been talking about, I'll share with you that deaths are essentially very scary, and I'm very encouraged that the number of deaths have dropped. But how about those who survive? What do we do with them? Right? How do we even rehabilitate them back? The impact on their families, right? And who's going to take care of them after that? Right? One of my pilot friends tells me he checks his aircraft very rigorously. Right? Not because he's being asked to check it and he has a very stringent checklist. Because he told me, hey listen, I'm in the plane. Anything happen, I also die. Right? So that is the reality of life. If you do not see ownership or a threat to yourself, we are likely to now, as a human being, unless someone puts us to task, unless there's a checklist, be very careful with it. And all these numbers are very good because it shows us that we are improving, but there are still a significant number of injuries that is happening. And I don't envy your task as safety officers because you are dealing with a very mixed bag of workers like me, doing a mixed bag. Whatever your workers are, they come to me in the same form, right? Language issues, right? Empathy issues, right? And attitude issues, right? I see them when I treat them. I see them not wanting to take ownership of their health or their rehabilitation. I deal with them and my team deals with them every day, just like you guys in the workplace. So I empathize with all of you. But how do we now make it accessible and make sure that it's safe for them, even those who are not worried about their own safety, because it makes also commercial sense to your institution or your company, because any injury, any workplace safety issues, there will be an impact, right? So at the end of the day, right, what do we do when we see a patient or see a worker who has fallen or either fallen from height or something hit him from height, right? Recently, I had an unfortunate incident where a 1-ton metal plate fell 6 stories and crushed onto an individual at the bottom of it. It is as if he himself also fell, but that itself is a vertical impact. So the scene of trauma is very important. If you can take photos at the scene of trauma, share with the SCDF. Nowadays, we have what we call, and I'll share with you, the Omni system that our Singapore Civil Defence Forces has. Is a tablet where they can upload photos, right, and send it to me in the hospital before the patient comes, right? So that I have an idea. What is the potential injury pattern that I can? Do I previously, all I hear is Hotel 5, which is Tan Tock Seng, we call Hotel 5, Hotel 5, right? ETA 8 minutes, right? Fall from height, vital stable, or vitals unstable, no pulse, no blood pressure. That's all, right? Then it's a guessing game for me, right? It's like, it's quite fun in the way after a while you think of, what is this, right? Adrenaline pumping, right? And you're also scared, right? But nonetheless, now with the Omni system, if you can take photos, right, show it to us, it'll help me prepare better. I can stand by my operating theatre even before the patient comes. So these are how we interact with the field, right? And therefore, it's also important for us to talk to our pre-hospital triage. I don't know whether, I think some of you may have been in Singapore during the time of the Soros blast in the ship, right? Hotel New World crash, right? These are the things that if you can triage a patient, you can tell me, oh, I got multiple injured, this one seems to be the worst, and we can take it from there. Then we can convey the correct patients to the correct hospitals. And ultimately, what you do at scene, right, influences the outcome. A lot of, I've worked with, and I've also friends who are in your same business, right? I've always shared with them how you guys approach a patient, what you do on the scene, actually is the most important. Because who to call, what to call, where to bring to. Because if you don't know what you're doing, or you don't know how to look out for these signs, then even if the SCDF comes, right, a bit late, right? I was called, I think one of the high profile ones that was happening. I remember I was in Katong having lunch with a friend. Then I got called by my SCDF command center. Dr. Teo, where are you? Why you call me on Saturday afternoon, ask me where am I? Is someone spying on me? I was looking around. And I said, I'm having coffee with a friend. But then he was very sober. He said, somber. He said, do you think you can get to Middle Road in 10 minutes? Yeah. Can, if I get a traffic ticket, you will pay, right? So then he said, no, I really need you there because I got a worker trapped in between a lift and a concrete. Can you come? So I will tell my, unfortunately I was on a hot date, so it was quite easy to just right? So I told my friend, no, I will go. Macam like Superman like that, I go, right? So started running to my car, but I didn't make it in time. We called it off. So again, those are things that at scene, what do you all do? How do you all give us that information? I didn't have any more information at the time because there was no Omni system, right? While driving, I couldn't, okay, not supposed to, again, you're not supposed to look at your phone when you drive, okay? But nonetheless, while you're driving, I don't know anything, but I'm just speeding away, right? So that's the challenge that we have. And with that incident, I'll share with you how do we dovetail with you guys. We have dovetailed such that now we have a new system called Operation Hornbill Plus, right? Essentially, what is Operation Hornbill is to extricate, is a multi-institutional, multi-organizational role to extricate casualties from your work site, okay, with a forward medical team. Hornbill Plus is where I come in. I'm a surgeon. I go to the field to operate in the field so that I can extract the casualty. So that is where we understand what your needs are and what are the potential dangers, despite whatever you do. Okay? So, what do I need to know, right, when it comes to working from height or the injuries, right? Essentially, it would be great if you can share with me what are the structures that were damaged when the patient or the individual fell. Why? I'll share with you. Those who jump out of their, in the 1980s, 90s, we had this trend where people like to jump out of the kitchen window, right? They jump out or they fall through the kitchen window and put the thick coal outside, right? The cloth hanger. Then if the number of clothes, the bamboo sticks you hit along the road down, right, can either break your fall or pierce you, right? So these are things that I need to know, right? Because if I know, I'm better prepared and the patient has a better chance, right? Don't hide it. You can tell me he fell through that concrete roof and he went through. Very different from he fell on the concrete roof, he bounced off and landed on the ground. Different, right? If you were me, you'd be like. So every time when my boys in the hospital call me and tell me, Mr. Teo, there's a patient, then they describe the whole thing. As I'm walking to the patient, I'm already trying to replay what potentially happened to the patient, what the patient might have, and what do I need to do. I may be wrong, but then the pattern of injury is very important because the nature of surface of impact is very important. Falling into water versus falling onto concrete ground or falling onto the SCDF foam has a different type of injury, Okay, in 2000 plus, we had the Sembawang shipyard injury, where the individual fell 27 stories height worth from a crane into the water. Okay, you all might think water in the mind should be okay, right? No, he was flipping. Okay, I mean he's not a professional diver, right? He's a construction worker, right? So he was flailing away, his legs was flailing away. He straddled the water when he went in, tore his whole perineum off. That means tore his whole penis and anus off, right? That type of impact is massive, right? As you can see, when you watch Olympic diving, right? Everybody like very nice, very little splash. Then that's the best type of diving. But we are not Olympic divers, right? If it happen to me, I'll be very scared also, right? What I'll do, I'll flail, I'll scream, right? So that's the problem. And the problem was he also hit a pylon on the way down. So those are the things. So it's good to let me know, right, what's going on, and we need your help. The next few images may be a bit graphic, but it helps me drive home the point. It's not one of those shock or thing, right? So, what do you look for in extremities when you fall? Mainly, you're looking for deformity, right? And you see a bone sticking out, please don't push it in. Okay, unless it's your ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend. Okay, Ken, you'll hurt him very painful. Okay, Ken, you'll give him a heart attack before he comes to me. Don't push it in, let us do it. Clear? Because you push in, it's dirty. You push in, I haven't cleaned it yet, you put it in, it's worse. Right? So next thing, degloving injuries. All of you know gloves, right? Don't use gloves, right? If I were to yank off your glove forcefully without you knowing, it will be a bit uncomfortable, isn't it? You'll be like, what the hell are you doing, right? But imagine the glove is your skin, and you yank it off because of the impact as you come down and you hit something. You see this bruise there, essentially, it looks like a bruise, right? Nothing much, but the whole muscle planes are all separated. It's like you're eating pork with multiple layers that are all completely separated. Okay? Okay? Right, I like to use a bit of food, although, sorry, your lunch is coming. So, right, but it drives home the point. Okay, Ken? Next, this is real case that we saw, construction worker, he was doing some work at the height of about four stories height, slipped, fell, pierced through by this stuff that was coming off the ground. Yeah. So this was very important. I'd like to highlight this case because you also see that this guy was fully dressed, right? The fact that his jeans, everything can go into the wound means that he fell from a relatively high speed, right? And you can see that also on the left side of the screen, he penetrated all the way up. Okay? Very dramatic, right? A lot of, even my boys were also excited. Wow, still, you're not so bad in this type of case, right? But nonetheless, it's always very dramatic, very emotive. But if you ask yourself, you're the safety officer on scene, what are you going to do? First thing, don't move the patient. Do not move the patient, right? Because the immediate human response is to, can I lift him up, correct? Can I pull him up? But once you pull him up, whatever the bar penetrated will bleed out. Right? If you all watch Descendants of the Sun, right? One of the scene, right? This guy got pierced, right? Then you're deciding who to remove first, right? That's the case, right? Don't remove him. Wait for SCDF to come. What they did was SCDF came, DART team came, and we needed your help. Actually, you are the subject matter expert. How do I remove him from the bar of concrete? Can I even remove him? If I cannot remove him, can I remove him together with the implement safely? Who better to tell me then? You. I don't know, right? I can fix bones and livers and colon cancers. I cannot saw this through. I don't understand what's the impact of sawing it out from him, right? And how do I now protect him when I saw it out? So you see, you guys play a very important role in advising me on how to get him safely to me. Right? Now, these are very real things. I'm not drawing things out of the air. We see them every year. Right? It's unfortunate, but it happens. Anyway, this patient's alive. Took us a while, but he survived at home. Okay? So, that's that. Okay? So, enough impact, right? And share with you that this is a real problem. So, nonetheless, how do I help you to be more effective? And how do you now protect your individuals who are working under your care? right? Such that should really something bad happen, what do we do? How do we best help them? I'll share with you at the ministry level, how have we decided to scope our medical response teams to better respond to emergencies, right? So this is where I come from, right? Tan Tock Seng Hospital is in the central part of Singapore. It is the largest acute care hospital in Singapore. We see the highest trauma load because of geographical positioning. There are three expressways that intersect just outside Tan Tock Seng, right? And I'll share with you how do we now in Singapore scope our journey. For a lot of you who have been in Singapore long enough, right, you realize that Singapore is a very small island, right? Through and cross island is less than 32 kilometers. You drive fast enough, you're on the other side of the island in 45 minutes, right? But it's a very densely populated country. The densest population is in the central phase where I work, is the central region, right? We are seeing 2.8 to 3 million residents, and by 2030, when Paya Lebar is given up and the whole of the Bidadari area is opened up, we're adding another 700 to 1.3 inhabitants to the central region. Okay, so this is the largest and most densely populated. A lot of you may have your factories in the western part of Singapore, right? The eastern part is serviced mainly by the Changi Group hospitals, right? So this is how we've carved out Singapore in terms of emergency response, where we have a central, western and eastern region. But I will not comment on the western and eastern. I'll share with you the central region of Singapore practices. So, Tan Tock Seng Hospital is the anchor hospital. Last time, I'll share with you what the concept change that we have. These 5 hospitals in this region will work together to deliver care to your patients, right, or to injured patients. And these numbers are very stark, right? We see almost 3,000 over severely injured patients when you say tier 1, tier 2, which involves your fall from height, right? Just to share with you, anybody falling 7 stories or more, nowadays your first level also sometimes very high, right? So a bit difficult to share, but if you fall more than 7 stories, right, the chance of you surviving is less than 40%. And then every height you add, you drop. Right? So if I'm going to jump from Duxton, right? Number one, if I jump from 14 stories, no wrong, 18 stories and above, I'll be blown away because of the nature of winds there. We found out, unfortunately, practically. Right? Number two, there's no point putting the air mat because you'll fall away from it. Right? So that is the whole purpose of it. But bringing home the point, anybody falling from more than 7 stories, your chance of survival is very low. But nonetheless, right? So, previously, for those who have been in Singapore long enough, we always say all bring to the closest hospital, right? From 1980s onwards, we always say bring to the closest hospital. But now we have changed. Do not bring to the closest hospital to the site of injury. Bring to the closest designated hospital. And in our case, in the central region, we're talking about Tan Tock Seng or KTPH. Right? Do not bring them to any hospital, and do not bring them to any urgent care center that you want to bring to, right? Because you are very kanchiong, very worried already, better go, right? And therefore that, because we have also had a very bad experience, individual companies seeing that I may be faster than the SCDF, so I just grab my worker, put onto the back of my pickup, and drive to the nearest hospital and drop. But I'll share with you, not all hospitals can manage severely injured trauma. I will still need to secondly transfer them to Tan Tock Seng or NUH, right? In terms of response. And every minute counts. I'll share with you that we cover Sengkang for emergency services, right? When for me to transport or secondary transfer a patient from Sengkang to Tan Tock Seng post-trauma takes about 45 minutes at the fastest to organize another ambulance to bring him. But as you know, Singapore very small, right? From point to point, with the ambulance sirens going, max 12 minutes between hospitals, right? One of the ambulance drivers from Sengkang, I had to scold him because he drove faster than me, right? In his ambulance, he made it from Sengkang to Tan Tock Seng in under 9 minutes, right? That was safety issue, right? I had to scold him, I had to sit in, I reflect to Sengkang and then we make it a problem because that's a safety issue, right? You crash his car, 3 people die, right? Driver, paramedic, patient, and the doctor inside, right? So cannot lah, right? So safety issue, but this is to highlight to you that if we think we can save that time, the answer is no. By bringing to a non-equipped hospital, we are wasting more time when time is already of the essence. Okay, clear? Right? So you see that if you do a snapshot of all the private hospitals in Singapore, okay, hopefully you all don't have to go there as a patient, I'm visiting Keng. But nonetheless, right, you realize that they don't call themselves the emergency department anymore. They don't have an emergency department, they have labeled themselves urgent care centers. This is to decrease the misconception that all hospitals can manage emergencies, especially for trauma patients, and in your case, work injuries. Right? Because not all hospitals are equipped with the support services to manage them properly. I will still need to move them. Okay? So you see nomenclature change. This is done very quietly because we don't want to shock and awe everyone. Right? Mount Novena has an urgent care center. Raffles has an urgent care center because we've also, in recent years, right, made it very clear on what are the requirements of the emergency department. Okay, clear? Right? So, we'll name all that, right? And then we hope that you will, for the minor cuts and bruises, okay lah, please go to them. But for the major falls from height or near amputations, right? You see the thumb flying somewhere, right? Take the thumb, but don't go to just any center, go to centers like NUH or Zheng where we have a hand service, hand implantation service. Even if you bring to Sengkang, Woodlands or KTH, they will have to be secondary transferred to me because they don't have the equipment or the know-how to do it. Clear? Right? I'm not getting business. This is not business I don't want. I'm just sharing with you that, right? You need to right-side the patient, just like what you are doing, right-siding the safety equipment. Okay? Okay. So next. This is the one that made a whole lot of noise during the event. Those who have been in Singapore before, Seng got a lot of flack for it. MOH got a lot of flack for it. SCDF got the worst hit of it. Right? Because they asked themselves, why? Why don't you bring to Mount E? Is it because the domestic help cannot pay? That's why you didn't bring. Right? Seng, MOH, and SCDF came out publicly to share why. Right? They were not suitable to go to Mount E. You know what saved us for that? Mount E themselves come out and say, I cannot manage. Then, right? They saved us because it was a public outcry. Right? So Mount E stood up and said, I don't have the necessary emergency equipment to deal with such trauma. And it was right to send to Seng. Finish. Right? End of story. Because there was public outcry. So this, I use this as an explanation to all of you. It is not that they are no good. Right? It's just that they are not equipped. And we should not put them to task. The patient will die. Not because they are no good, because we didn't give them enough skills, they didn't have enough resources to manage such a sick patient. Clear? Alright? So I don't want you to go away thinking that the private hospitals are no good. They're very good at what they do. One of the best around for certain things. But for emergency care and for patients who fall from height or are involved in crush injuries at worksite, they are not the correct place to go. You will run into more problems. Right? There are some weird practices I know where employers try to send to a private hospital to try to cut the MC time, try not to report it, right? And stuff like that. Because you come to Dr. Teo, you tell saying sure cannot report it. Right? But you must see we are not reporting because we want to penalize the employer. We want to make sure that the same practices continue and the unsafe practices actually put a stop to it lah. Because the next person dying may be another person's son or father. Right? So that's something that we need to know. Okay? So what do we need to do at the national level? Okay, this is at the national level, you all realize. And please don't scold the SCDF, okay? They will assess the patient and bring the patient to the closest appropriate hospital. We have a triage criteria, which I will not share with you here because this is not the correct forum. but they have a whole triage criteria to bring to a hospital that is most appropriate. With the Omni system, which is on the go, right? They can key in the parameters, and we have a command center who will then tell them where to go. Alright? So trust the SCDF. On top of that, the Omni system, right, the SCDF has the ability to control all traffic lights. Right? So if you think that you can bring your guy faster than the SCDF, unless you mount a siren and ambulance on your pickup, probably not. Right? Or unless you have jamming equipment to jam the traffic light, then maybe you will not be that fast. Okay, Keng, right? So that's how the SCDF has actually ramped up their ability. And so trust them, right? So how do we now do as a central region to help you guys and help the public? We've been trying to change the public mindset, and this is the forum that I like to do for you guys, because there are other public forums, but this is a very curated bunch, right? And we reach out to you all on these websites to share on these platforms, to share with you what we are doing, how to gain confidence in our system, that we have a system, right? And the system is for you and for your trauma patients, right? And one of these that we are going to work with the Safety Council is that of World Trauma Day that we usually observe every year. We are still in the plannings, and we are talking to industry leaders, you guys, safety officers, to create a program that is relevant to all of you, that is really helpful. By planning to be a half-day program, right? Either in Singh or one of the hospitals, to bring you all to a hospital setting to realize how potentially the impact of your safety processes are, right? And hoping that we can reach out to as many of you to improve the safety practices, because no one wants a death. I personally want you all to bring them to me alive, right? Without your safety equipment, without your helmets, without your safety harnesses, they will never make it to me alive, right? By insisting that they wear their equipment, by insisting on all your safety checks, you actually give them a chance to come to me alive, for allowing me and my team to do something to help them. But if they don't observe them, then you are already giving me a deck of cards that very difficult to play, right? For example, the head injury that you all talk about, head injury also can die. Ken, you never wear a helmet, right? Wearing a helmet, does it prevent head injury? The answer is no. Will it decrease the impact? Yes. Will you get to the hospital in a better shape than compared to no helmet? Of course. Will you then have a chance to survive? The answer is yes. But no helmet, no seatbelt, no harness, finish. Okay, clear? Okay, so that's all I have for you today. In summary, right, falls, you must look at the way they fall, how they fall, right, the severity of injuries. Sometimes it's not very obvious. Call the SCDF, please, no matter how fast you think you can get to the patient to hospital, unless it is really next door, but nonetheless, please call the SCDF, right, and tell them the exact location. Okay, if you are off-site and you know the lamppost, every lamppost in Singapore got a number, right? Just tell them I'm at lamppost what along what road, centrally. That's the best. Okay, that's how they get to you. Okay, and always review your first aid equipment and work at safety, like what Julien mentioned just now. Keep reviewing, right? Always new safety protocols, right, to make things better for your teams. Okay, with that, I thank you.
In the interest of time, 5 minutes to finish all the questions and everything that's come in, I think it will be a challenge, but I will try to make sure that at least our speaker get to answer one question. And having gone through earlier the pigeonhole, I think there is a few questions that talk about the same thing, and that is on VSS, Video Surveillance System, for contract that is more than 5 million, and that is a regulator's question, I would say, because the MOM imposes requirements. So looking through the few questions that are similar, one question is about, is the contract value of more than 5 million for new contract from 1st June 2024. And the related question is, does this apply to subcontractor within this contract of more than 5 million? Do the subcontractor need to do VSS also in the same project site? Maybe Madeline to answer.
Hello. Yeah, okay. I think the short answer is for VSS to be implemented to projects more than 5 million, it will have to undertake by the project manager occupiers. So subcontractors within the same projects will not need to implement this VSS. So to illustrate is that within the worksite, occupiers will determine where are the high-risk activities and install the VSS accordingly. And the another question is whether my projects, for example, my projects near to completions, do need to install. So it depends whether high-risk activities are still ongoing. And also when existing or new projects applies to all, as long as they are work at height activities. So if it's TOP, but then you still have defect liability period and they are work at height, example, high-risk activities, you still need to apply with the VSS requirement.
So in summary means, if your project today, or rather 1st June, is more than 5 million, if there's what we call hazardous work activities being carried out, you need the VSS. And regardless of whether it's the subcontractor doing it or the main contractor's employee doing it, VSS is a requirement.
It's a requirement within the work site. So it's occupier to go and install at areas where there are high risk activities.
Okay, I think there's a question related to it. With 5G technology, is it requirement to connect it to the computer of the commissioner for the PSHS to watch?
You mean
Real time to authority.
video analytics?
No. What I mean is the commissioner for the USH watching every video that is required after 1st June 2024, or you don't send it to the commissioner, it's for the contractor to look at it and to monitor?
Just say upon request.
Okay, so that means your VSS, you don't go and erase it the next morning. It has to be, how long do they need to keep the VSS? I mean the recording.
The recording currently is at least, you must keep at least a month. I can't remember the actual one. So at least it's like you have to keep within a certain period before it is being override.
Okay. I think to help you all go on to WSH Council, the WSH Council has already issued a guideline on VSS that will give you the information that you need to know about what to do with the VSS. But I hope the answer to VSS, all the related questions are covered. And I think in the presentation we talked a lot about ownership. How do we engender greater ownership of WSH oil? Well, today is work at height among the employers and the employees. And I think the best question to ask is Francis here, who is from Zheng. How do you do it? What are the challenges you face to engender ownership?
Okay, one of the specific challenges that we face is taking the workforce, the ownership and responsibility for risk matters in our implementation of good practices. And to live up our risk standard and strengthening our risk ownership, we look at the upstream measures. As I shared earlier, top management commitment is indeed very important. But without the support and actions, there's nothing much we can do on the ground. What we can do is only the minimum, as they have the influence and control over their resources and priorities. So for me as a project director, I was assigned by my MD to taking care of all risk matters in my workplace. I take pride on this responsibility. I love my jobs and I have passion for safety. So I lead by examples. I want the talks and I place safety as one of the most important. I actively participate in all these activities organized in my workplace. probably that helps to drive the rest of the organizations to behave similarly. And over time, this culture will evolve and make everyone take ownership and responsibility for risk matters. Yes.
Okay, so it's about commitment from the top and the leaders taking the lead and all that. Perhaps on safety behaviors of employee, how do we change the unsafe behavior of workers on the ground doing unsafe work at height and all that? Maybe Angela, would you be able to enlighten what are the things that we can do to make workers behave in a safe manner?
The answer will be what we mentioned earlier, ownership. Really, if everyone knows the impact of their decision, when whatever you do, it doesn't just impact you, it also impacts the person sitting beside you. And if you know that it's going to happen, then you know what, you know how to make the correct decision. Yeah. So really, it's about ownership and taking leadership in owning it.
Okay. There's some question about MEWP and another word is Aerial Work Platform, AWP. Maybe I just want to ask Julien. You wearing of a full body safety harness, there's always this misconception that you do not need to wear full body harness in an MEWP. Or some people say you must wear. So from the supplier, from the manufacturer, is it designed that you have to wear?
So let's consider two types of MEWP. We have the boom and we have the scissors. The boom, I think pretty much everywhere in the world, it's recommended to wear harness because you have a risk of ejection. While driving a mute, because of the length of the boom, you can just be ejected. So this is, I think, pretty much everywhere in the world. You have to secure yourself. When it comes to scissors, it's a bit different, and it depends on the local regulation. So there are some countries you have to secure yourself even on the scissors. So it really depends. In Singapore, I don't want to make any mistake, so I let the specialist answer this question. But it's really a few countries in the world that you have to secure yourself. In Japan, for example, you have to secure yourself in all the scissors, but we know they're very conscious about being airtight. So yeah, that's the answer. The answer. But booms, you have to secure yourself.
Okay,
that's for sure.
So boom lift, you need to wear full body harness.
Full body harness
and to the ankle point that's designed for.
Yeah, it's designed for. There are many around the basket, so you secure yourself when you drive, operate the mute. But even when you work, you can just stay secured. You can move around. It's not bothering at all.
So for scissor lift, would you say that it's a question of doing a risk assessment to look at the work environment and all that, to see whether is there an anchorage point, plus also the type of work they're doing, whether does it warrant you to wear the full body harness and anchor it, because you may end up even suffering more serious injury because of anchoring.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, thank you. Maybe one question for Dr. Teo. I think there are a lot of safety professionals here, and I think, of course, they don't want to see a fall from height case. But in the event of employee fall from height and all that, you mentioned that there's a need to provide vital information so that you at the hospital can be ready and prepared to address to prepare the treatment or what to do. What are the important things that the WSH officer or the person in charge of emergency need to know so that they can be able to give you the information they need? What are the basic information?
Well, I think the basic information would be, firstly, from what height you come from, if they know. Number two, whether the safety equipment was being used, right? Whether helmet was on or helmet was attached. Right? Then next, the obvious injuries that they can see. Even simple things like telling us, oh, there's blood coming out from both ears, right? Tells me there's severe injury compared to, oh, there's no bruising in the head, right? Next thing will be conscious levels, how conscious the patient is. Right? So these are very important things because it helps the SCDF also prepare when it comes to and to standby resources. The next thing is whether the individual is trapped along his fall, whether something fell on him, because that will allow us to activate our either forward medical teams, right, as part of OPSCOM bill, or deploy a red rhino to try to, because on the red rhino we have extrication equipment. So if we have that information, then that would be great. Because sometimes you see on the road, you see a red rhino rushing together, then after followed by an ambulance. That's how we move those pieces. So just like in Singapore, we've had a few cherry pickers that although they are safe, right, they were hit. Some driver decided to test the safety, his own car safety equipment and slam straight into a loop, right, while they were cutting the trees, right. And if you're not, it would be good to tell me whether they were restrained or, as usual, not restrained, flew off and landed on the road. Then when it lands on the road, another car comes, finish, right? So that's the end of story. So these are things that we need to know. It would be great to know. And like Julien mentioned, if you are on a safety harness, right, were they dangling from the safety harness after that? And that would be great because sometimes in an unfortunate incident, almost like safety equipment, right, you can actually be killed by your safety equipment if it's not properly worn. It's almost like a hanging incident. So it would be great to tell us how long the patient has been hanging there, or were you not able to keep down? Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that's very important information for WSH professional who need to respond to this kind of situation. There's one question here, which is what is the difference between BSAFE level 1 and the TWP? Right. Okay, I think if I'm not wrong, TWP has replaced BSAFE level 1. So there's no longer BSAFE level 1 course to attend. You have to attend TWP. And those sectors that have been mandated by the Ministry of Manpower as well, the regulations already came out since 1st March. You have to attend the TWP. For companies that want to do the BSAFE certification, then you have to attend TWP. The BSAFE level 1 will not be there anymore. And I guess from now onwards, every CEO or WSHO or whoever wants to attend, it's only TWP course. There's no BSAFE level 1. So I think that hopefully it answered the question, okay? We don't talk about BSAFE level 1, we just say TWP.
L1 is different between both because one question says that what's the difference between level 1 and the TWP? Actually, TWP includes, the course content includes the code of practice. Okay, so actually the information you can find in council websites. There's this FAQ. So the question actually inside, maybe I just allow me to read from the Q&A. So TWP is different from level 1 because it covers key topics like the code of practice on chief executive and board directors workplace safety and health duty, and accident root cause analysis based on guidelines from MOM and council, which are not covered in the BSAFE level. So therefore, yeah, you need to attend the TWP.
Okay. I think I have time for one last question. Oh, they say time's up. But I think one last question would be, this gentleman asked, actually it's posed to Mr. Francis Ng, is conducting STO regularly a waste of productivity? Does STO lose efficiency if done too often? Before Francis answer, I thought I would want to answer it also because you have to understand what's the purpose of STO, safety timeout. And then you'll know whether it's a waste of productivity or waste of time. If you treat SWO as actually stopping work and just sit down and jacobi and talk off nonsense or all that, then it's a waste of time. But if you put your tools down and do a STO to look at safety issue or to review and revise safety with your guys, I don't think that is a waste of time or waste of productivity, because you are helping your employees to revise, to remember safety practices and all that. You guys all have gone for exam, right? So STO is something like revision. You are preparing for an exam, which is to pass, and in this case, I think the outcome is to be safe and healthy and be able to go back home safely. So I don't think, I want to throw the question to Francis, because it's a answer that we all know. STO is to revise, review, and to remember, so that everybody go home safely. So I think I think that is. One last question, maybe to each of you. Anything you want to say to the audience here before you let them go off for lunch? Is there anything you want to say?
I just want to conclude is safety is a choice that we make every day. It is not a program, but a culture that we need to build strong and sustainable. Safety is a way of life. It is our everything. And certainly, it is not a one-time event. So risks come from not knowing what you are doing. That's my message to everyone.
That's very good. I think give Francis a big round of applause.